It's a Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Ask me anything Friday. You can ask me any question. And on top of that, we'll take a look at some things that the Houston Texans have said over the last 24 hours and an argument that I've spent way too much time being a part of. I'm Paul Gallant. This is the Gallant Says podcast. Hit it.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
Grow up, are you kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. It is Friday. Got to get down on Friday, September 12th, 2025. I am Paul Gallant, and this is a show you can watch on a variety of different platforms, whether it be on YouTube at Paul Gallant. If you're watching for the first time, please like the video and subscribe. It's available on Twitch as well. On Twitch, you can get after me at Gallant Says. It's on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Gallant Says. On Facebook, at Paul Gallant Sports. And on Instagram, too, at Sports Gallant. You can get it after the fact, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple or Spotify. Not going to lie, this is one of those shows where I thought I'd have a little bit more time to get prepared. Today, I was down at Fox 26. I did some on-air hits, but I was there from about 9 until 11 or so. So a lot of the prep I thought I was going to get done before the show didn't get to do. We will be raw dogging it a little bit more, you know? Let's answer some questions now, though. It is an Ask Gallant Anything Friday after all. Avi Lieberman Comedy asks on Instagram, regards from the UK. What's going on there, mate? I'm frightened the Astros don't make the playoffs. Your thoughts? If not, the terrorists win. Well, I hope that the terrorists don't win if I don't share my thoughts. Look, score more runs. I had a beautiful take on the Astros yesterday, and it was this. Score 5 runs. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. Score 5. So actually score 5 runs. I'm not watching their games for the foreseeable future. I'm actually probably about to cancel Fubo TV. Like, I have no desire to watch them. None. Spend enough 3-hour nights to talk about it half-heartedly every day. And if they're playing like shit, like, not going to watch. Not going to watch. You know? So, sorry on that front. I mean, I'm sure if they make the playoffs, I'll talk about them. But at least in the short term, especially last night, I am not talking about them. J Torres 29 says, tuned into ESPN just now and was very, very confused. Yeah, I would be too. And spread the word. Because generally in radio, no one ever tells about what went down. There's just a new show, or there's no show, and no explanation. And I will say there hasn't really been much of one. But you can't ask any question. I'll work it in. Chad asks on X, what happened to your 97.5 time slot? Nicholas Amy says he got canned. Chad responds, that's whack. That is indeed whack. Texas Horns 88 asks, any update on yesterday's topics? Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you because when I was at Fox this morning for 2+ hours, I was sitting in a room and I was talking with a bunch of very nice ladies for, I want to say, an hour and a half. Thought I was going to get some prep done on the show. I saw the press conference was taking place to announce that they had, I guess, found the suspected shooter of Charlie Kirk. But to be perfectly honest, like, I have no idea about any of the details. I know this specific person has been texting me a lot. You're in the mute box. I have muted you. Sorry. Don't really feel like engaging with all this stuff. And that's something that I have found myself sadly being thrown into the last couple of days. I keep on finding myself in arguments with people off the air, and I forget, oh yeah, I don't have to do this. But I feel the need to, because these people are my friends. But the one that I got into over the last 24 hours has to do with what we're going to talk about, at least to open the show before we get back into your questions. I am perhaps a little close to this since I grew up there, and this is the reason that I talk about sports for a living. But the New England Patriots are a team that should be emulated. People should try to be them. And I know people will always simplistically look at that run and they'll say, oh, it was all Tom Brady. Look at Bill Belichick. Look at where he's at now as a 73-year-old man coaching in college for the first time. He didn't do anything with Tom Brady. Well, there's a video that I reposted on my X account. It's from Colin Cowherd's show today, and it's Tom Brady talking about some of the added responsibilities that Belichick took on back in 2001, where he was the head coach, and he also was basically the quarterback coach after the quarterback coach died. Dick Rabine. Really sad. I do not like it when people paint that history with the broad brush or without actually any context. So I've been seeing a little bit of this over the last 24 hours. I've been in a back and forth with Beltway boys. And listen, we're arguing. I don't think we're actually have any beef with each other that we wouldn't be able to get over. But I saw something last night after I'd had a few drinks watching Thursday Night Football, and Laramie Tunsil get called for a bunch of false starts with my two buddies. And let me just go back to the original one because this argument has changed in so many different ways over the last, I don't know, like 24 hours or so. Let me see. Let me go all the way back to the top. Beltway Boys posted this. Meanwhile, the Texans still trying to be the 0-3 New England Patriots. And I know that there's a lot of Texans fans, and you look at the Texans trying to emulate the Patriots with Bill O'Brien and with Jack Easterby, and you're sick of it. And that is understandable. But at the same time, when we're talking about the 2003 New England Patriots, we're talking about a team that won the last 15 games of that season, won the next 6 games of the next year, and then won back-to-back Super Bowls, which is something that hadn't been done until the Kansas City Chiefs were able to do it just a couple of years ago. Every team should try to be that. They should try to be it in their own way. But this is where me and Beltway boys got into it, and I don't know, at some point maybe we gotta have this conversation microphone. So I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything like that. But I feel like when we're looking at what the 2003 New England Patriots were, which is a team that had a very good to great quarterback that wasn't quite put on the top shelf at that moment in time, they had a guy who was clutch in big moments and who didn't make mistakes, but he was essentially the right kind of game manager to have when you have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense of that decade. If you go back to that 0-3 team that won the last 15 games of the year, they weren't winning with their offense. They were winning by sacking Donovan McNabb 8 times in a game, picking him off twice, one of them a pick 6. They were winning games against co-MVP Steve McNair, also on a pick 6. They beat co-MVP Peyton Manning on a goal line stand. There was a 4-game stretch where they didn't allow a touchdown at home. I went to some of those games. They also shut out opponents 3 times, which is pretty hard to do. It was a defense that sure had some pieces from when Bill Parcells took over the New England Patriots, but Bill Belichick also coached those guys back in 1996 when the Patriots went to another Super Bowl, Super Bowl 31. They lost to the Packers. Bill Parcells essentially leaked to the media that he was leaving for the New York Jets before the game. Would the game have been different? I don't know. I think Adam Vinatieri got held on that Desmond Howard kick return for a touchdown. And considering Adam Vinatieri had literally tracked down Herschel Walker earlier that year, there's a chance that he might have caught him. There's a chance. But I think that's something the Texans should think about emulating. They got a guy, Nick Caserio, who actually was there all that time ago. He has barely aged a day since that moment in time. And I guess I just have this as a question for Texans fans. Why is it that you are so resistant to the idea of trying to emulate something that has worked? Obviously, it's going to be hard to emulate it the exact same way when you don't have Tom Brady. But there's a mythological version of Tom Brady that people talk about 20 plus years later that wasn't the Brady that we saw towards the end of his career. It was about 2006 where Tom Brady, I felt, really started to be a guy who was making things happen on his own. He needed to have a good defense on the other side of things. That's why after the back-to-back titles in 03 and 04, in 05, the Patriots took a little bit of a back seat. They did not play particularly well defensively in that season. So, you think about all of that, and you just try to wonder, how do the Texans win this season when they have so many new pieces on the offensive side of things? A new offensive coordinator, a new offensive line coach, brand new wide receivers. You're going to have to win by having a quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, sure, and who does occasionally make plays. And by the way, C.J. Stroud can make plays. The film for Stroud Sunday against the Rams wasn't on him entirely. I think there's some pre-snap checks he could have made differently. He even acknowledged as such. And I think that at times he was bailing out against pressure that wasn't as bad in the moment as it was at least last year. But that's a very low bar to clear. Stroud's going to need to make the occasional play, just like Tom Brady made the occasional play. But you were winning games this year entirely due to that defense, that absolute beast that you have on the other side of the field. Saw today that the Bucs are going to be potentially without a couple of offensive linemen. That's great news for this Texans defense. They're going to win games because of their defense. They're in a good spot, even though Sunday was a frustrating thing to watch. And the hope is that the offense, by the end of the year, is a plus factor in games. It's not now. Will it be? I don't know. But to bring it back to what the topic is, if you're clicking on the thumbnail, I do not understand for the life of me. And obviously I'm very close to it because I grew up a huge fan of them. You can see behind me, there's like all sorts of Patriots shit on the walls and bobbleheads and all that. But I don't understand why you wouldn't want to be that, or at least try to be that. Defense does win championships. How did the Eagles win the Super Bowl? How did the Bucs with Tom Brady win the Super Bowl? You think it was Tom? Did you see Tom's performance against the Packers? And I love Tom. He's my Lord and Savior. Tom's performance against the Packers, I mean, he was turning the football over a lot. The Bucs defense won that NFC Championship game. There were some decisions made by was Mike McCarthy still the head coach then? Or was it Matt LaFleur at that moment in time? Whatever the case, there were some conservative decisions made by the Packers in that game that also hurt them. The Super Bowl, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was running for his fucking life the whole game. It was the defense that won it. Brady has been there for a lot of it. But I think one of these things that we tend to do when it comes to football is we give the quarterback all the credit. And even my Lord and Savior, I don't think it's fair in a team game to give him all the credit for everything that the Patriots did, for the Bucs won Super Bowl. And by the way, I mean, that year, they were a mess, the Bucs. They were a hot mess. Remember that? I don't know if it was a Monday night game or a Thursday night game, but they were playing the Bears, and Brady forgot what down it was. I mean, that moment in time, I think a lot of people were like, Bucs aren't going to make the playoffs. They did. They went on to win the Super Bowl. So I'm just trying to tell you that. I think that there's a weird paranoia about trying to be the Patriots, and I don't quite understand it. Anyway. Is my mouse on? Oh, it's not on. How about now? There we go. Now the mouse is on. It is an Ask Gallant Anything Friday. You can ask any question, and I will work it in. Captain Photon says the Astros are done. And then Nick Gamboa says, keep thinking once the bats come around, they will be okay. We've been saying that all year, man. At a certain point, you have to perhaps accept that this is what they are. They are healthy. They are completely healthy. At least relatively, right? Jordan's back. 2 hits yesterday. Who was the schlub they went up against? Sorry to be an a-hole to said schlub. I'm sure he's a fine person and all that. But, I mean, I'm taking a look at the box score because that's what we do here. We do the box score hot takes when we don't watch an Astros game. Christian Javier, not his best performance. That's for sure. He did give you 6 innings. I don't know if it's a quality start if you give up 4 earned runs, but you had 2 hits. Jeremy Pena and Carlos Correa, who was hitting very well of late. That's it. Jordan was 0 for 4. Jose Altuve 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Jesus Sanchez 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Yainer Diaz 0 for 3, Christian Walker 0 for 3, Taylor Trammell 0 for 3, Mauricio Dubon 0 for 3, and guess who came in relief for Christian Javier? Lance McCullers, who is now your mop-up guy. I get that the Blue Jays starter isn't a Cy Young nominee for this season, Kevin Gausman. He's 10-10 with a 3.44 ERA. That is a weird ERA considering the Blue Jays have the best record in the American League. But that shouldn't be someone that's shutting you down quite like that. Mustang Boy asks, thoughts on illegal streaming services, i.e. Stream East. I have never used illegal streaming. I really haven't. For sports. Maybe put an asterisk next to that one. Because there are other things, I suppose, I may have watched from time to time. But I'm not going for that. I should probably at this point, right? Like, I don't have a job. Fubo TV is per quarter for me. I think it's $388 for 3 months. Isn't that fucking nuts? That's just to watch every sports. And by the way, it doesn't have Turner on it. So I think the way that I operate right now is I have I have a shared HBO account. I just canceled my Apple TV last night because I got triggered thinking about the 03-04 Patriots and how that shitty Apple TV documentary just completely fucking glossed over them winning 21 games in a row and back-to-back Super Bowls. I shit you not. It's 10 to 15 seconds. Go watch that bullshit. Complete bullshit. One of the best back-to-back runs in NFL history. Oh, let's just gloss over it with 10 to 15 seconds and get back to all the bad that happened. There was good that happened too. The fucking Chiefs documentary is already getting a 7-parter. A 7-fucking-parter? Mahomes isn't even 30. What are we fucking doing? What a load of bullshit. Fuck Apple TV for that. Seriously. It was such bullshit. All those Patriots players got interviewed. They had all sorts of stories to tell. And they all said after the fact, like, yeah, we got interviewed for a lot and we weren't even featured in it unless we were talking about the murdered guy. Or Spygate, which, by the way, the Broncos and Cowboys used to do. They also used to skirt the salary cap. No one talks about that. Everyone talks about the team that won all the fucking Super Bowls. Anyway, Paul, you're biased. You're just for Boston. True. Still, what the fuck? They won 21 straight games and back-to-back Super Bowls. 15 seconds? Are you fucking kidding me? It's one of the greatest defensive performances those 2 seasons in NFL history. Oh, but yeah, we got to get back to the controversy. People aren't going to get interested in that. I remember somebody in the market actually told me, yeah, well, you got to get back to the controversy. Motherfucker, that was goddamn history. You fuck. Jesus. Anyway, Paul, dial it back. Stop swearing. Fine. Beltway Boy says... Hey, what's up, buddy? Nah, we're good. It's always been a thing for me since O'Brien. I don't blame people for being like, fuck the Patriots because of O'Brien. I really don't. I get it. I actually do get it. And Easterby, too. Like, geez. Ugh. Easterby. Ugh. I hate, ugh. I remember reading that headline once. I was working at Sports Radio 610 in the morning, and I remember that day. I don't know if... I must have read it during updates because I was on with Mike and Seth. It was Mad Radio at the time. I was the third guy, but we all talked equally. That probably was a bad idea. But I remember vividly looking at this headline. Like, oh, Texans hired like a team chaplain. Thought nothing of it. And then I remember hearing from somebody in the Texans, oh, yeah, this guy's like a real culture changer. And I was like, okay. And then I left for Seattle and never really saw the returns on that. And from what everyone tells me, it was the worst. Watch that guy give a sermon. Jesus. Awful. Texans Horns 88. Cal needs to go get a happy ending massage kind of emulation. Cal McNair probably has an emulator for video games because he's like a Zelda guy, I'm told. Or there's some story about him, and a lot of people give him shit for it, that he was playing video games once in the office. What I really need to do at some point in time, especially since now I'm not sure I'm going to be credentialed for any Texans games, we will see. I am very curious to look into this lawsuit that is featuring the McNair family. B. Hannon says Phil Jackson couldn't win without Kobe or MJ. And B. Hannon says, look at Pop after the dynasty. Yeah, that is a fair point to make about every coach. And I think ultimately you do have to remember this. It is about the players. The players are the ones who make things happen. Coaches write up plans, but in the heat of battle, how do those plans go? The coaches are putting these guys in the right position. It is on the players to execute, you know? Joe Kelly says, what's up? What's up, Joe? Javi Good Times says, Paul, I mentioned this one once before on your show. Brady was a great quarterback and possibly the GOAT, but he did have some badass defenses. Every time he won a Super Bowl, outside of maybe the last two, where they were good defenses, they weren't great defense, but they did have some great players because they had 2019. They had 2018, 2019 against the Rams. They held them to 3 points. They had Stephon Gilmore. When they beat the Seahawks, they had Darrelle Revis. The comeback against the Falcons, I'm trying to think who their best player was defensively that season. Off the top of my head, I can't. That was a perseverance and a lot of Tom Brady in that game. Maybe it was Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower. But the early years, the defenses were awesome. Most Patriots fans believe, since the 07-1 lost, and they actually had an underwhelming down the stretch of that season before losing in the Super Bowl, for what it's worth. The expectations those first 8 weeks created were insane. But if you go back to 04, this was after they'd won the Super Bowl and they had the 21-game winning streak from that year into the next. They had signed or traded for, I forget which, Corey Dillon in the offseason. And Corey Dillon had maybe his best career year. I want to say Corey Dillon had 1,600 yards in 2004. 1,635 rushing yards, which is the franchise record, 12 touchdowns. And he also was the leading rusher in Super Bowl 39. He had 75 rushing yards and a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like, that team with that defense was the best. And by the way, the crazy thing is, in the playoffs, they were completely injured in the secondary to the point where, you know, you have Ty Law and Asante Samuel in the same secondary, and they're playing guys like Earthwind Moreland. What a name, Earthwind. Hank Poteet. And hell, at times they were playing Troy Brown at wide receiver at corner. Anyway. Texas Horns 88. Anyone else noticed Brady has morphed into Uncle Baby Billy with a more defined jawline? Can I do it? No, that's... If you've ever seen, like, old pictures of people with plastic surgery and you notice, like, their mouths are like, you know, like that, you would know that that's what plastic surgery used to be. They used to just, like, basically pull your face back. Isn't that fucked? Anyway, Ask Gallant Anything Friday. Do you have a favorite English Premier or La Liga team? I picked Everton after the 2014 World Cup because they had Tim Howard and Lukaku was cool. And I guess they had this guy who was supposed to be good. What's his name? Was his name Bradley? Let me see. I'm going to look up. This is who I used to play. I used to play FIFA 14 all the time. and I would play as Everton FC because they had Tim Howard. Let's see, 2015 roster for Everton. I actually did wake up and try to watch games early that year. Everton 2015. Ross Barkley. That's it. They had a Ross Barkley. So there you go. Yeah, so I did like them. I have a T-shirt for them, but I haven't watched English Premier League soccer in a while. And I'll say this about the Houston Dynamo. They are horribly run. Horribly run. I hear things about them all the time. I feel like they've done a horrible job of marketing soccer in this city. Like, imagine you're in a city, it's majority Hispanic, and you've done really no outreach to Hispanic communities. Like, you don't have someone that's running, like, a Spanish marketing team. Like, if they did, I mean, they would get money. They would get attendance. There would be someone interested in it. Instead, they seem, and this is what the Texans used to do too, they seem to be pandering to a very specific audience that they want to associate themselves with, as opposed to getting to know the city that they're a part of and ingratiating themselves to that city. The Texans have started doing that recently. You've probably noticed all the 90s rap pandering that they've been doing of late, right? Like, you got Cal McNair being like, yeah, what's up? And he's got Ice. You're seeing a lot of that, but you're not seeing that much pandering to the Latino side of things with any of the teams in town. On YouTube, Zach asks, can we consider Jake Myers is maybe just another version of Kyle Tucker that can't do anything when it matters? Well, he didn't play yesterday. And if I'm not mistaken, he's only been back for a couple of games, right? Let's take a look-see here. And look, this one's going to be all over the place. I'm so OCD about having great prep before every single one of these shows. And then I always feel like after the fact that the prep wasn't good enough. I'm taking a look over here. Yeah, Myers did play yesterday. So they gave Myers the day off. He did go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Not yesterday. Wednesday in the game where Luis Garcia left. No, wait, check that. That was Tuesday. Again, all my days are blending together. I'm fired. I don't understand how time works anymore. Fuck off. Toro McJohnson asks, chances are Paul goes to the flagship or NPR Houston. Did NPR get got? Or was that PBS Houston? I'm not ruling anything out, but I really have no idea what I'm going to do. Both from a, will I continue to do this perspective? And from a, just from a, do I continue to do this? Let's just start with that. Like, the last couple of days, I've spent most of my time when I'm not arguing with friends or going back and forth with friends off the air. I've been spending most of my time basically trying to make sure that I have enough money for the next couple of weeks, getting all my ducks in a row and stuff. I really don't know. I'm going to try to do this. Noon is probably not going to be a great window long term because it is right smack in the middle of the day. So I might move to doing things at a certain point in the morning, and I know that might cut into your watching John and Lance time, or Sean and Seth, or Sean Salisbury. So that's kind of the tricky position I'm in right now. I like doing it in this noon window because I know there's nothing going on at the place that I used to do a show at that's live and local, unless you like Rich Eisen. But how much is he going to be talking about Houston sports, you know? Or just Houston anything. So I don't know. I don't know, man. Javi Goodtime says, I'm contemplating getting Apple TV for the Source show. Did you happen to catch that? I have watched Severance. How many episodes of Severance have I seen? I'm in the middle of season 2. I think it's good. I think it's put on a pedestal that has perhaps made me not like the show as much as I should, which is ironic given that I am one of those, you must watch Breaking Bad, you must watch The Wire, you must watch The Sopranos, you must watch Game of Thrones, up to season 6. Once the end of season 6 happens, you know. But no, I have not seen Source. I have seen What's the show? The Studio. Studio's good. I forget what else I've seen on it. There's the show with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. I've enjoyed that. There's a lot of heartwarming shows on Apple TV. This is not me dismissing any of their programming. I just think that the Patriots documentary was fucking horrible. You know? What else do we have? Texas Horns, video games in the office is just good management. I agree. I mean, if you're a billionaire, wouldn't you? I would definitely want to have a door that locks. I'm not going to have one of your creepy Matt Lauer doors. Not one of those. But I would want something to make sure that no one could come into me playing video games. Paul, you're probably going to do other things with the door locked. I mean, maybe, maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself. What else do we have here? Before we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna watch a press conference together. No, not that one. That one seemed like it was very long. Some people talking about Seattle. Tor McJohnson says he visited Seattle. Lovely place. It is very pretty. There are certain spots that I hope have been cleaned up since I left, because it was starting to get a little dicey in specific spots. The years that I was there, specifically during the pandemic, they really let the homeless kind of do whatever they wanted, and it got a little aggressive on that side of things. Like they were a lot more brazen. I'm lucky that I'm not tiny, so I don't think anyone was ever trying to fuck with me. But I don't know, if I were a woman walking the streets of Seattle in certain spots, I'd probably be pretty nervous at times. It is beautiful though. The lakes, the hills, Mount Rainier, just this giant volcano that's off in the distance. Like you drive across these causeways that go across the lakes and the sound, and holy shit. There are many times where I'd be driving a specific way and you see Mount Rainier and your jaw drops and you're like, wait a second, I got to focus on this road. I'm driving on a bridge. It is nuts. Downtown is a pretty tough area, is pretty rough, but it's a pretty place for sure. Tormick Johnson says Belichick in the right for banning Patriots scouts. I don't think he is. I do think that you can criticize Belichick for what is going on right now, for sure. Like I've been joking, oh, he's just saving his best stuff for the ACC. But I mean, I'm doing it tongue in cheek, and I hope you recognize that I'm being sarcastic, you know? Because I am sarcastic a lot, and I suppose sometimes it's unclear when I'm being serious and when I'm being sarcastic, but I think that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, he was back at the Patriots team facility for Tom Brady's statue ceremony. Mike Vrabel even acknowledged as such. And Vrabel and Belichick have an interesting relationship. So I think for sure that what he's doing is stupid. I don't see what the win is, you know? Texas Horns 88 asks, Paul, on a scale of 8 to rip my eyeballs out, how does it feel when you have to watch baseball? I love playoff baseball. I actually do. The problem is more this. When you're doing a daily radio show and you're supposed to talk about what happened in the Astros game the night before, and by the time that you get to talk about it, it's noon, nothing's fresh anymore. You feel like you're repeating the same stuff as the other shows that were on. In addition to, you feel like you're repeating yourself every single day. We had the inside joke. God wills it, because the Astros were so injured and they kept on winning, and we were just quoting that Night Templar from the movie Kingdom of Heaven, a Ridley Scott joint with Orlando Bloom and Liam Neeson and a bunch of other randos that you would definitely recognize. Ava Green's in it too. Edward Norton's in it. It's a great movie. I love it. A lot of people didn't like it. Watch the extended director's cut version. There's this Night Templar guy in it who would constantly go, God wills it! God wills it! It's like a complete psychopath, fundamentalist Christian who's really big into crusading and killing Muslims, which not cool. Not cool when you're doing it the way that guy's doing it. But we were talking about that specific part of the movie for the entirety of this season because we couldn't explain how the Astros were winning. We were like, well, maybe they're God's team. But it seems the Lord upstairs has turned his shoulder away. It's been frustrating watching this year. I like watching a good team play baseball, and I'll admit my love of baseball probably completely died because of these two things that happened. First, the Red Sox had an epic collapse at the end of the 2011 season when I had just moved down here. I didn't get to watch Red Sox games anymore. Their season ended right as I got the job here in Houston. So I was already a little bit turned off by the Red Sox. Then they started smearing people that had been a big part of the World Series that they'd won in 2004 and 2007. Terry Francona had been fired from his job. I remember there were some stories that had been leaked, and I was like, wait a second, why are these stories being leaked? What does his personal life have to do with a team that just checked out? It was very obvious to anyone on the outside looking in. Yeah, they're not as focused as they needed to be. They had some teammates that weren't the best teammates, yada, 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 you know? So that collapse happens in 2011. I guess this was right as I was graduating college. And I go up to, I come down here, and then I start covering a baseball team that basically decided to flush its entire history down the toilet so that Jim Crane could get them for a discount. They moved from the National League to the American League. So all of a sudden they're playing teams that they have no real attachment to other than the Texas Rangers to a degree. And from 11 to 14, when the Rangers were good, they were fucking awful. So I wasn't watching games because I was working at the Texans flagship station, and I was told, talk Texans, talk NFL. And you know what? It made sense because in 2011 and 2012, those were probably the two best back-to-back seasons in Texans history. It's a shame what happened to Matt Schaub. He has that injury where, what was it, Albert Hainsworth touched him wrong, Texans, Buccaneers, and he's out for the season. They end up having to turn to Matt Leinart at first. I remember that because my first ever radio show, that was one of the main topics, was talking about Matt Leinart going to start a game for the Texans. And I was talking about the hot tub stories and everything. And people were like, maybe dial it back a little bit, Paul. I was also being a psychotic Patriots propagandist. God wills it. I was like that guy for the Patriots when I first came on the air. Yeah, you guys aren't on the Patriots level. I mean, come on. And I mean, to be fair, I was right. But whatever. That's besides the point. That was when that team was at its best, 2011, 2012. So we only talked Texans, and we only talked NFL, and we almost never talked about the Astros. And because of that, I almost never watched the Astros. Then, when the Astros got good, I was doing the night show, so I barely got to watch Astros games as it was. They'd be on in the background while I was talking about whatever else was happening in that 7 to 11 window. So the industry itself, in a way, has turned me off on baseball because from 2011 to 2018, I either had no reason to watch games for my job, or I just physically couldn't watch games with the kind of attention to detail that you need to when you're watching a baseball game. So I hope that's a nice way of answering that. Aiden Watson says Bill's just waiting for the Alabama job to open up. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. You know, I think he's waiting for anyone in the NFL to take him back. But now with Jordan's talons so firmly into him, I don't know that anyone's going to want to take him back with all these distractions. Adam Tation, that's a nice screen name, says, miss you on ESPN, bro. Yeah, our loss. But no hard feelings, you know. Budgets, man. This industry is changing quickly. B. Hannon says the dog days are the worst. Yes, they are. Laramie Tunsil, last night. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. I got a text last night in the middle of that Packers Commanders game. And the Packers look great, by the way. If you pick the Packers as your Super Bowl pick, good for you. They're looking great. Micah Parsons, now a part of that defense. I mean, they are an intimidating bunch. But Laramie Tunsil, if you saw him at left tackle, had one of the worst highlights you're ever going to see. It was so bad. He's standing at left tackle. And look, we know with Laramie Tunsil from having watched him with the Texans that this is a guy who always was great about moving back right before the snap to game the system so he could have the best possible jump off the line of scrimmage. So when you see him flat in his feet and just completely miss a snap count, it's funny to see, and it happened last night. Oh boy, off the right edge, a defender on the, their side of the field, their right edge, just blows right by Tunsil on the left. And Tunsil never even got out of his shoes. I think there were some false starts as well. Wasn't watching the game with the kind of attention that I wanted to. Went to Pluckers for the first time in a really long time with a couple of friends. Had a couple of beers. We reminisced on old times. And I remember in that game looking up a couple of times and just seeing the Packers throttling the Commanders. But I know after the fact there was a lot of talk about Laramie Tunsil false starts, about Laramie Tunsil mistakes. That is the Laramie Tunsil experience for those who are unfamiliar. He false starts a lot, and he doesn't seem to give that much of a shit when he false starts. Anyway, let's keep on rolling through. I'm sorry I do not have more fun content for you today. If you have any question, Ask Gallant Anything. I will work it in. I would like to go to the Houston Texans YouTube channel. I should have got some water in here. Get a little thirsty. Let's take a look here at what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, now let's take a look at the press conference from earlier this season. From yesterday. Let's take a look at D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud addressing the media. All right. Let's take a listen to what Texans head coach D'Amico Ryans had to say about your Houston Texans at yesterday's press conference. Oh, I guess it's not playing. That's not good. Let's see here. Huh. That's not good at all. Hang on a second. Let me unmute the tab. That's why it's not playing. Apologies, everybody. I'm raw dogging this show. Not enough care being spent. Here is Texans head coach D'Amico Ryans.
Good.
The Buccaneers front, not just Vea, but Reddick and some of the other personnel they have. What do you see from these guys collectively?
The Bucs are a really, really good team. Starting up with their front, Vita Vea is the guy that gets everything going.
Yes, he is, and that's going to make my hope of the Texans running Nick Chubb a little bit difficult on Sunday. That's a big guy in the middle, and that's going to be a lot of work for this very new, very young Texans offensive line.
Adding Reddick on the outside, like really good group. Diaby, ton of great players, guys who can get after you in the running game, also in the passing game. Not only physical players, athletic guys who can swim gaps. They do a really good job with their stunts on the interior. So tough job again up front, but that's every week in the NFL. So we have our work cut out for us.
Outside of Joe and what he does on the field, like we all know what he does, what does he bring you guys off the field that you guys are missing from him, just as a player and a guy?
Yeah, we're rolling with the guys that are here. That's the main thing. We miss Joe, miss his energy and his enthusiasm and everything that he brought to our team. But we continue to press forward. Hope he's doing well.
What's the challenge in?
I mean, he's going to answer all questions about injured players like that. At this point, just get used to it, He's not going to give you much. He's going to redirect the conversation as well.
And going up against a guy like Ibuka, rookie, only second game, all of that.
Hey, Ibuka, he shined in his opening game. He was explosive. He can
Yes, he did. He had 2 touchdowns for me in fantasy football. Huzzah!
catch the ball. He's a threat at all 3 levels of the field. That's where he shines. And everybody saw the 2 passes that he caught for touchdowns. Just an explosive player, fast. He moves all across the formation. So we definitely have to have eyes for Ibuka and also Mike Evans. We know those are their 2 top targets. Baker did a really nice job of finding those guys throughout that game.
You talked to us about the disappointment, the penalties. How is that message being received, and what is that message that you deliver your guys this week?
Yeah, the message for our guys is just do what we do well, and that's it. Like, own our fundamentals, own our technique, control the things that we can control. You control how you prepare, you control how you execute, and that's strictly up to you. So if our guys are dialed in and just execute the right way, there's no elaborate meeting or coaching point about it. We know how to play football the right way. We just got to go out and do it.
To be fair to D'Amico, what is he supposed to say to these players when they constantly get called for penalties? What are you supposed to say? So I understand him answering that question. Do what we do best. Yeah, do what we do best. And don't do the bad things. Please stop doing the bad things. They're bad, don't you see? More D'Amico.
Obviously, you've been around the game a long time. Is there a different feeling to Monday night games?
Yeah, Monday night is always a little different, right? It's always a special game because, you're the only show on.
Do you know what's special about this one? This game's at 6 p.m. Jeez Louise. When I was at Fox 26 earlier, Toro was there and some Texans cheerleaders were there. And they were encouraging people to get to the game an hour before. First off, we don't fucking do that. We don't do that here. Second of all, you're asking for people to show up an hour early to a game at NRG Stadium, which is a bitch to get to, on a Monday at 6 o'clock. It's one of those stupid stacked doubleheader Monday night games. There's a bunch of these over the course of the season. 6 p.m. at NRG Stadium? Woof. That's going to be tough.
Well, it used to be. Now we got double headers. So it definitely changes a little bit. But Monday is always special. The entire league is watching. Your peers are watching as they're preparing for their next week. So that's always, in the back of your mind.
When it comes to Baker Mayfield and some of the things he does to not just get the ball out, to be accurate with where he's going with it, what have you seen from him progression as a quarterback?
Yeah, Baker's done a really nice job. The thing that sets him apart when I've seen him grow as a quarterback is how he escapes the pocket, right? Whether that's keeping his eyes downfield to find open receivers or just scrambling to get the first down. He does a really great job. He's gutsy. He has everything you want in a quarterback, tough guy. He scrambles to make plays, run and pass. So you just have to play together. And that's what we preach all the time is the rush, staying after it, playing together, and our guys in coverage, we have to make sure we're plastering and staying in coverage, covering the guys twice, but because we know he can escape from anywhere.
It seems like those primetime games you talked about, how there's special things of that nature, that some players play better in those situations. Some players sometimes can struggle a little bit. What do you think is the key for players playing well in those big primetime spotlight games?
Yeah, again, every game to me is really, it's the same. Once the ball is kicked off, I always say this, like it's football. It doesn't matter. You playing on Monday, Sunday, when it doesn't matter. Like it's about how you prepare, how you show up for those 60 minutes. So it's not about you're going to play better because you're on Monday night or Sunday night. That's pie in the sky. Like you got to line up, play football, execute, do what you're supposed to do, no matter when the ball, what day, what time. Football is football. So that's what we got to go do. We got to go play good football no matter when, no matter where.
Buccaneers defense, they use Winfield a couple different ways. What have you kind of made him, what he does and some of the experience he has at that back part of that?
Playmaker. Winfield's definitely a playmaker. Todd does a good job moving him around. He's smart, versatile player. You can trust him. He moves around, put a lot on his plate. And that's the thing that jumps out to me. He's a playmaker. So we got to have eyes for him. And we just, at the end of the day, they have a lot of good playmakers. So you can't just watch, one guy. They got a lot of guys on their defense. That's why they've been good. They're a talented group. We just got to go out and execute our offense the proper way.
You had mentioned the defense needing to be together, what they're doing. With the group you have and so many of them having been here before and played together before, do you think that's something your defense does well?
Yeah, that's a staple for us. It's all 11 guys working together. That's what we do. That's how we are a good defense.
Swarm! Right, you are, D'Amico. Continue.
When we operate that way, we're a great defense, right? But if we have one person that's off, that's when, bad things happen. So it's a matter of us just making sure we stay together, make sure all 11 guys are doing what they're supposed to do.
Coach, when you go back and you watch the film, what are some of the things that you can do to maybe alleviate some of the pressure off of CJ this week?
Yeah, there's no pressure on CJ. We line up and we play ball.
There's no pressure on CJ. We line up and we play ball. Okay. I think there's a little bit on him. I mean, there's literal pressure on him because it's the Bucs. They got a good defense. But also, I think there is a growing part of the fan base that's hoping for another level from Stroud that we didn't really seem to see a lot of last season. And there were reasons for that. But anyone who picks a quarterback, top 5, top 2, you're hoping that guy can become one of the best in the game, if not the best. And we haven't seen that in a little bit from CJ.
What was kind of your evaluation of how Nick handled himself as kind of a first-time play caller, the first real time he did that?
Nick did a good job, right, with the play calls. At the end of the day, we all have to just put ourselves in position where we can actually call the game, right? We're behind the sticks a lot, shot ourselves in the foot a lot, where we were in second and long and just third and long a lot. That's not a great place to be as a first-time play calling your first game. So if we can play well together and stay on schedule, stay on track, then we can see how the game is called.
Yeah, it looks like sometimes Todd will kind of have like a bunch of guys at the line of scrimmage and sometimes send them, sometimes drop out. What challenges does that, bring throughout the week when it comes to game planning for that? And what challenges is that exotic looks that you can't present for an offense?
There are many different looks. Many defenses do a lot of different things, moving guys around, disguising. That's a staple, I think, for all defenses. So you see it every week. It's nothing grand or nothing new. We just have to make sure we're getting to the line of scrimmage in time. We can ID what we need to ID and execute our plays.
Have there been things you've seen this week that have helped you see this team come together a little bit more? You said you have to play together. This team has to.
Yeah, our team is together. It's not, the building isn't burning down. We're together. We didn't execute right on some plays that didn't turn out good for us. We ended up losing the game. But our team is together. Our team has never not been together. We're together. We're ready to go play on Monday night. That's what it's about for us.
D'Amico's focusing on a weird part of that right there. I'm going to have to go back in time just a little bit to see what specifically that question was. Because D'Amico focused on the word together there for some reason. And I'm not really 100% sure why. Let's watch that one more time.
All defenses. So you see it every week. It's nothing grand or nothing new. We just have to make sure we're getting to the line of scrimmage in time. We can ID what we need to ID and execute our plays.
Have there been things you've seen this week that have helped you see this team come together a little bit more? You said you have to play together. This team has to.
Yeah, our team is together. It's not, the building isn't burning down.
Oh, so he heard come together. He heard come together and he got a little bit defensive there. He even started talking before the question was done. Not the best question, but he is right. Nothing is falling apart right now. They lost on the road to a team that came closer to beating the Super Bowl champs than anyone. I am annoyed by the amount of collective woe is me out there. I really am. At a certain point, you got to just pack your bags and move on to the next game. They had a chance to win at the end. Despite shooting themselves in the foot a lot, they fumbled it away. It happens. This is a young team that is getting better. There's definitely pressure on them to be better. And now that you're 0-1, you can't afford to go 0-2. But are people looking at the Bucs as an unbeatable team on Monday? No. Closer to a toss-up than we would like. But I do agree with D'Amico. And perhaps the rabbit ears are up. Because it does seem like this organization, even though it acts like it doesn't, has more rabbit ears than you would think. It seems like he hears that question saying, come together, and then he just jumped on it.
We're together. We didn't execute, right, on some plays that didn't turn out good for us. We ended up losing the game. But our team is together. Our team has never not been together. We're together. We're ready to go play on Monday night. That's what it's about for us.
And, Coach, just to clarify what I was asked, I didn't mean any pressure as far as CJ for himself. I meant from an offensive line standpoint.
Yeah, I thought our offensive line did a good job. Again, in the game, we can help ourselves by stepping up in the pocket on a couple of the sacks that happened. But, again, I thought we had clean pockets versus the Rams as well. So, there were a lot of good things that happened versus the Rams. They made more plays than we made, and that's the bottom line. We hurt ourselves in the red zone defensively. We were down in the red zone 3 times. 2 times we gave up touchdowns in the red zone, right? We stop them. We make them kick field goals there, right? We're sitting here telling a different story. So, again, it'll always be about us and what we do, how we execute. We execute the right way. We'll put ourselves in favorable position to win games. All right? Thank you.
What a weird way to answer that question. A little strange, no? What a strange way to answer that last one. The end of that press conference, you hear D'Amico Ryans, and I didn't have the picture-in-picture going there, but D'Amico is asked about the offensive line. He thought it played well. I would say it played well, all things considered. And then a little bit later, he talks about the defense and how the defense gave up touchdowns in the red zone. Well, that happens. It's the Rams' offense. He's definitely harder on the defense than he is on the offense. He's a defensive-minded coach. The defense does have all the talent, but that's a weird way to answer it because Sarge clarified his question. Because I didn't think he was talking about pressure on CJ there. It seems like D'Amico will fixate on specific stuff, imply that people are questioning the entirety of the team, and sometimes he'll gaslight. We saw a lot of that last year. And other times he gets defensive and kind of pounces on that one word. All coaches do this. Bill O'Brien used to do this to me all the fucking time. Drove me crazy. We actually had a phone conversation about it once after the fact. He apologized to me, but I remember he brought up one time that I had confused 2 white tight ends from the 800 level after watching a game. And he focused on that when I asked him a question about how he definitely did this, how he definitely was calling out general manager Rick Smith. It was bullshit. And I remember the head of Texans PR at the time gave me lip. And I said, this isn't fucking Tuscaloosa. That was that. We'll get to CJ's comments in a little bit. It's an Ask Gallant Anything Friday. You can ask any question. I'll work it in. Clutch City asks, can you hit us with a motherfucker to celebrate not being under the thumb of the FCC? Yes, there's going to be a lot of swearing. I want to swear a little less. I probably swear too much. But to quote Hank Moody from Californication, motherfucker. Largo asks, check that. I hate Largo. Paul, what's your favorite Joel Blank story from your 97.5 days? Well, filled in with him a couple of times. Enjoyed it. For those who don't know, Joel and I basically together worked on the 2011 Houston Rockets season and their radio broadcast. It was the lockout shortened season. This was the last year before James Harden. It was also the last year that Sports Radio 610 had the Rockets. And I remember doing a what was I doing? I remember doing the old post-game show from time to time and cutting up highlights with Joel. So we would watch the games together, but I would be cutting up highlights and watching them on one of those like little tiny fucking TVs. Remember those where like the screen was smaller than the distance from the front of the screen to the back? So it looked like that, but the front of it was like this. So I would watch all the Rockets 2011 season in 4:3 on one of those little tiny TVs, and I cut up highlights. And I'd talk to Joel over the course of it. Joel and I used to play pickup basketball every Saturday morning at the Met. I would be there most Saturdays, not all Saturdays, and I would usually show up a little hungover because it was Saturday morning. And Joel is a great three-point shooter. Like, he's actually a pretty good player. So my favorite memory at 97.5 would probably be from some of the times that we hung out together. We both have quick tempers, and every now and then we get after each other. But no, I love Joel. I've known Joel as long as anyone I've known in Houston sports radio. Nate Griffin, who I've also known forever. I was on TV with him earlier this morning. Joel's always been good to me. I see some of the people on the Twitch, they're always talking shit about Joel. Joel's always been good to me. You're not going to get me to bite, you know? I think he's a good guy. I don't get why you guys are so fixated on him. Truly, I don't. But freedom of speech, you have it, just like I have it now. Javi Good Times says, this makes me appreciate Ime Udoka even more. Ime Udoka, shout out to him. Definitely a lot more matter of fact than D'Amico Ryans at the press conference. Payne Moore says, what up, Paulie G? What up, Payne Moore? Do-do-do. Mustang Boy 7 asks, does CJ know the offensive lineups? If he knew their lineups, he'd be able to more accurately assess who's going to be best in their matchup on the line. Well, he does have pre-snap power, which he has not had in the past. The juggling the Texans have been doing on their offensive line has to have been frustrating for him. Specifically, Sunday in LA, there was so much of that going on. But I think he knows the line. He just has to have them figure out how to play with one another. Like, he knows how to play with them. They have to get a rapport. They do not have that right now. Hobby Good Times thought I was doing Chow from The Hangover when I said motherfucker. Captain Photon says, long distance relationships are tough. I hope you stay in Houston. I doubt I will leave. I really doubt I will leave. I got something great right now with the old girlfriend. And if I left, it would have to be for something amazing. And I don't think that amazing thing is going to be coming in the near future. Maybe it does. Who knows? I really don't know. I have no idea what's next. I had a nice conversation with somebody today at Fox 26, and they said, like, have you ever thought about teaching? And I said, yeah, I actually have. I would, like a lot of men out there, it would be pretty cool to be a history teacher / high school football coach. No? Wouldn't that be pretty cool? I think it would. Anyway, it's an Ask Gallant Anything Friday. Not a lot of questions rolling in. I suppose that need to advertise that a little bit more. Maybe I'll do a little graphic. Maybe I'll do a little graphic that's right there or something like that. There should be a way to feature specific chats as well. Restream does not offer that. I know that StreamYard does, and that's what I'm broadcasting this with. It's with StreamYard. But now I got a lot of time to potentially check that out. The perks of being unemployed. I saw that last comment. I hate Largo. It was just one of them. Allegedly. Let's keep on watching a press conference, guys, right? Isn't that what you guys want to do on a Friday? That's the Friday fun you're looking for. Do we want to watch CJ Stroud for a little bit and then wrap things up? Because it is Friday for me. And I mean, I've had a really long week of being unemployed. Actually, I guess it's only been 3 days? It's weird.
more fixable things and that you guys can take a step forward from that game?
Yeah, we looked at the things, and it's on the top of our mind to fix things, but there's a lot of good we did too. So you don't want to just look down at the floor and feel bad for yourselves. You got to move on and flush it, and not take it light, but also not act like it's the end of the world. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture of both. But I thought we've done a good job of dealing with that, and I thought we had a good practice today. So
good practice. Let's
lane.
go.
That 2023 game against the Bucs was kind of what catapulted the franchise. But I'm wondering if a lot of guys played well, but I'm wondering if you remember maybe how you were feeling that game. Were you just feeling it that game, or what do you remember about that?
They just kept calling my number, and I like that. I like when the pressure's put on, and I thought that game we did a good job of staying out of bad situations, and Bobby did a good job that day calling it, and he we had a lot of good plays up. They're a really good defense. They made plays. It was just back and forth. It was a shootout. So, but yeah, they're a really good team still. Baker's playing some of the best ball he's played. He looks great. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They got a great receiver core, great running backs. Their corners are good. Safeties are good. All around, their D-line's good. So backers are great. So I think it's another one of those games. It's going to be hopefully a shootout, but hopefully not a shootout. But whatever it is, we got to prepare the right way to just go 1-0 each play. You can't think about it like that, in my opinion. I just think 1-0 every play, and then see what the score says at the end.
Did that game in 2023, did it give you a boost of confidence to know that you could play against a veteran quarterback and go with them, blow for blow, and then come out ahead and have a big win like that?
I'll be honest. This bores me. I could keep on watching this press conference. I know that at some point CJ Stroud said something noteworthy. I'm going to try to find it really quickly because I want to react to it. Was going to cut that clip up before today's show. Let me see if I can find it. Don't you love that song? There is one thing I know happened, and I'm trying to find it. I can't specifically find it at this moment in time. But there was a very funny moment, and I'm going to show this because I do not have the graphic in front of me. But there is a graphic posted, and this is a big problem in media today. A graphic was posted by one of these shit-posting Facebook kind of accounts. And it says this. First, I'm going to show it to you on my screen. Will that work? Without the ring. It was deleted. Unprecedented in Texans history. C.J. Stroud wants the team and the entire NFL to observe a moment of silence in memory of Charlie Kirk. Quote, "It's heartbreaking to see America lose such an important voice," end quote, Stroud said. Quote, "My deepest condolences to the family and loved ones." Yada, yada, yada. Here's the problem, because clearly a fake quote. There's a website, or there's a Facebook page that does this with Jose Altuve all the time. The part of this that's crazy is that Greg Abbott reposted this and thought it was real. And there are moments where I look at the people that are in power in local municipalities and in states and obviously at the national level. And it just blows my mind that people that have such a loose grasp of how the most important way that we communicate with one another works, the internet, it blows my mind that people that do not know how to navigate that have such a stranglehold over the entirety of our country. Doesn't it just suck to think about? The people who are higher up the totem pole, because generally you get higher up the totem pole, the older you get, these people aren't watching this and I'm not dumping on them for not watching this, but they're getting their news from Fox, from CNN, from MSNBC. They see shit like this online, a graphic that looks professional, and they just take it as gospel. And there are people that are our age that do that as well, but no one second guesses it anymore. No one. And then it just spreads like wildfire. And the next thing you know, there's like 84,000 dipshits on Facebook that are liking a post about how Jose Altuve doesn't want to celebrate Pride Night for the Astros, a post that's made in May. I've talked about this before on the show. Greg Abbott reposted that. I mean, it's obvious shit posting. Who allowed him to have the phone? Or who's the fucking idiot intern who had the phone? These people are running our country, and they have no idea how to navigate the internet. And look, I fall for artificial intelligence videos from time to time. You know, I'm sure you do as well. But imagine you're the fucking governor, and you see that, and your first thought is, yeah, this is good. And because it's supporting his team, you know? And what happened to Charlie Kirk is awful, and I do not want to make anything right now about Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying it's crazy that there are people in power in our country who have no fucking clue how to navigate the internet and that thought that's real and think other things that are like that's real. It's wild to me. Wild. Anyway. People are talking about the Rich Eisen show. I know Rich has a beautiful voice, and I think he would be a great golf broadcaster if he ever chose to do it. It's Chewy. I always get, I don't know why, whenever I see your name and try to sound it out, I always fuck it up. I know Rich Eisen's show is not for everyone. I don't know if it's just Rich himself that's the bad part, or to me, he doesn't have enough sidekicks, like a Pat McAfee show, where you hate the host, but the other folks are entertaining, so the host can get away with it. Pat McAfee has too many people. Dan Patrick has some people. I get annoyed as somebody who has done solo shows for a lot of my career. I get annoyed that there are sidekick roles, because I think sometimes the sidekicks can be annoying, and you plant that seed and you really have to water it and make them own a specific role. And to me, it's not authentic, you know, to have like the sidekick or to have that wacky person that's just hanging out. So I don't know if it's that. I would just say what ESPN, the national radio company, should do is go back to people that are remembered by people who are listening to radio or watching on TV who are older. I would say if I'm ESPN, Rich Eisen's not a bad play. But I'm looking at myself and wondering why the fuck I let Mike and Mike break up. I don't even know what iteration of the morning show they have now, but that was dumb. And I suppose it was a power play by Greenberg, who was tired of working with Golick, but they should have names that people have known for a while in the mornings. Like, no offense to these new people that are in there, but it's really hard to build up credibility and establish an audience when you're in for a year and then you maybe are out. So you do have to kind of roll with what you've had for a while, and I get it. There's budgets, and then there's new program being people who generally don't know what they're doing, who think, oh, this is going to work, that's going to work, this, that, the other. But very often, like, it's rolling dice. You hope something works out, and then often it doesn't. And I would just say that from a national radio perspective, you need to have somebody that people know. You know? SU Mello 2K1, what's up, buddy? Podcast Paul is better than Radio Paul. Fuck, I hate it here. Thank you for migrating. I know we've had our shit talking back and forth to one another, but I appreciate you joining over. This is a raw dogging show, by the way. I wish that I was able to do a little bit more prep before today's show, because I feel like I don't have that much for you. This is one of those shows that I showed up to a lot later than I was hoping to because I was doing TV for a while this morning. I know. I talk about it all the time. The sign that's in the Shorecrest Preparatory School football weight room, excuses, hint of a reason, stuff with a lie. And yeah, I could have done some of that prep last night. And I'll be honest, I had a few too many drinks with my friends. I had a few too many, not too many, but a few too many. Do-do-do. You know what your office needs, says Javi Good Times? A frozen margarita machine. Oh, no, I would never get anything done. I would never get anything done. No. That's a terrible idea. God, I'm just glad there's no tequila in the house, It's one of the things that's keeping me from potentially, drowning my sorrows in margaritas. Because I love margaritas. It's my favorite. Palomas actually are my favorite, to be fair. There's frozen Paloma machines. Jesus. I like grapefruit a lot. But yeah, I mean, shit. I've even bought multiple of the Kenny Flowers Margaritaville collection Hawaiian shirts in the last year. Let's take a look. Margaritaville lyrics. Do you want to sing a song? Nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake. All of those tourists covered with oil. Jesus. When you read all of those tourists covered with oil in 2025, are you thinking about sunscreen? Or are you thinking about the stuff they do at Diddy parties? And or porn websites? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Do people even use oil to suntan? Obviously, I can't tan. I can't fucking tan. Strumming my six string on my front porch swing. Smell those shrimp while they're beginning to boil. Oh, crawfish in New Orleans. Yeah, there's crawfish references in Margaritaville. Holy shit. So this guy is singing about Margaritaville. He's singing about margaritas and crawfish. That sounds amazing. And then there's the Mexican cutie. Oh, yeah. So this guy's hammered. He's having a great time. He's looking for his lost shaker of salt. What is the lost shaker of salt? Is the lost shaker of salt a job? Is the lost shaker of salt a woman? I don't know. It's a great question. This is something I've wanted to do. So, listen, you're here with me, and we're just going to fuck around a little bit. Since we're raw dogging it on an Ask Gallant Anything Friday, you can ask any question. We'll work it in. What happened today in history? Let's take a look. I'm going to read through some things, and we're just going to raw dog into it, okay? Because I want to do a little history from time to time. Britannica. What happened on September 12th? 1764. French composer Rameau died. Look at this guy. Look at this fucking dude. The French composer Rameau. Oh. He looks like he's playing a little guitar. Can you imagine this guy singing like Wasted Away in Margaritaville? Can you imagine society if they had margaritas back in the day? I wonder if that's a wig or if that's real hair. What else happened in history today? Politician Ian Paisley, who was a militant Protestant leader in the factional conflict that divided Northern Ireland from the 1960s till the early 21st century, died at age 88. This guy looks like an asshole. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Team Catholics in that Civil War. Catholics. I'm kidding. Johnny Cash died. Oh my God, so everyone just died on this day. Jesus. Turkey pulled out a bloodless coup in 1980. South African activist Steve Biko died. Bonanza premiered on NBC. German commandos effected the escape of Benito Mussolini to Munich during World War II. Ooh, I want to see this. Mussolini escape to Munich. That's pretty interesting. Mussolini did not escape to Munich, says AI. He was rescued from a mountaintop hotel in Italy by German commandos in 1943 and later caught by Italian partisans while trying to escape to Switzerland in April of 1945 and executed. He was deposed by his own government in 1943 and imprisoned in a hotel in the mountains. German forces, including SS commandos and paratroopers, launched a daring raid codenamed Operation Oak to free him. Following his rescue, Hitler installed Mussolini as the head of the Italian Social Republic, a pro-German puppet state in northern Italy. In April 1945, as Allied forces advanced, Mussolini and his mistress attempted to flee Switzerland to avoid capture. He was caught and executed. If you've seen the pictures of his execution, they fucked that dude up. You thought what happened to Gaddafi was bad? Like what happened to Mussolini? Oh my God. Monster. But that's how it went down. What else happened here? Ooh, Stanislaw I was elected King of Poland by the Sejm, or Diet, of 12,000 delegates in Warsaw. Holy shit. And it led to the War of Polish Succession. Never think about Poland's civil wars, do you? What else happened today in history? SU Mellow 2K1 on this tape 40 years ago. Popcorn ceilings were installed in your condo. That is for true. That is for sure. Oh, it's something I've been thinking about because this is one of those like starter condos I bought. And it's one of those things that I know I can probably get rid of on my own, but I don't want to. I do not want to do that. Philip III was crowned King of Spain and Portugal. Ooh, let's look up King Philip III. And I'm going to look up a very specific question. Did King Philip III have a Habsburgian jaw? Yes! Oh, this guy was a freak! Yes, King Philip III of Spain, like other Habsburgs, possessed the characteristic Habsburg jaw, a pronounced lower jaw caused by centuries of inbreeding within the royal family. This physical trait, known medically as mandibular prognathism, I didn't say that right, was evident to varying degrees across the Habsburg dynasty. Do you want to see some pictures? Let's see some pictures, man. Habsburg jaw. Let's take a look. I know, we're not talking sports today. Oh, yeah, look at this. Look at this freak. Look at this guy. Ew. Ew, he's hideous. Look at him. Would it be worth it to be queen with this guy? How does he eat? 75 Corchester says he's from West Virginia. A lot of those jaws at the 97.5 listener appreciation party. Hey, everyone was cool at the party. There's another picture too. Like imagine like these are all the portraits of you over the course of your life. Like you just look like a fucking dork. I feel from him. You can't control the way you look, but I mean, look at this. This guy at least looks kind of normal. But this poor fucker. Oh my God. It looks kind of like a girl. Anyway, what else do we got here? What was the #1 hit of the day back in 1989? Asks Roland Bassett Jr. on Instagram. What's up, Roland? #1 hit, 1989. I really hope it wasn't the song that I think it could be. Let's see. Oh. Right Here Waiting by Richard Marx was the #1 song. It was there for 3 weeks from August 12th of 1989. I'm not going to lie. Hang on a second. I'm going to try to sing this. Oceans apart, day after day, and I slowly go insane. I hear your voice on the line. I don't know this song. Oh, never mind. I know it. I know this one. I can actually sing this. Are you guys ready? Oceans apart, day after day, and I slowly go insane. I hear your voice on the line. It does stop the pain. If I see you next to never, then how can we say forever? Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be right here waiting for you. Whatever it takes, oh, how my heart breaks, I will be right here waiting for you. God damn, I am awesome at singing. Anyway, sorry, everybody. But I am not allowed to actually play that music on the air because I'll get a copyright strike. You know? Javi Good Times. Bro, see you at T-Bones Saturday for karaoke. It has been a while since I've gone to T-Bones. I love T-Bones. They're awesome. T-Bones is the best karaoke experience in Houston, Texas. You're going to see some sights. Madeline, the girlfriend, Steak Girl on the Twitch side of things, actually has done karaoke there. She did great. I gave a shout out to you, babe, on TV earlier today. Because I know we got a date tonight, but if possible, please, I would like to watch the Cougars game against Colorado. You know? But it's an Ask Gallant Anything Friday. Whose house? Cougs' house. I gotta update the drops. I gotta get some sound effects for the Cougs. Cougs 98, Buffalo 0. I gotta post the clip that I did. Because I think I said, watch out, Prime, on TV today. It was an interesting segment with Nate earlier today. Oh, shit. This is kind of a sad thing that happened today. A lot of deaths on this day. 2015, Moses Malone died at age 60. Rockets legend. When was Moses Malone with the Rockets? Let's see. Moses Malone, 5-time All-Star in 6 seasons with the Rockets. He played for the Utah Stars, the Spirits of St. Louis, the Buffalo Braves. Then he played for the Rockets from 76 through 82, and then played on a variety of different teams afterwards. You know what? Fuck it, as the kids say. Moses Malone highlights. Because I know if you've ever heard the song Basketball, you know that song goes, basketball is my favorite sport. I love the way they dribble up and down the court, just like I'm the king of the microphone, like Dr. J and Moses Malone. Nailed it. Moses Malone highlights. Ooh. They got Moses Malone 1982 highlights. Let's take a look. I'll be honest, I've never seen Moses Malone play. Part 1, left block scoring. Oh, man, wasn't it? Okay, so they just basically throw the ball as high up in the air as they could to get it into him. More Moses Malone highlights. Oh, wow, look at these entry passes. These are the most insane entry passes I've ever seen. Here it comes again. Oh, that one is at least a little bit more normal of an entry pass. Oh, off of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar there, too. Hell yeah, dude. More Moses Malone highlights. You know, we could do this. I don't know if I'll get copyright struck, but we could do this from time to time, just watching highlights. Man, he's got the old Unk haircut, too. And he won the MVP this season. Oh, and he got hit in the face on that, too. Is that Rudy? Anyway, there you go. What else do we have? Do we want to keep going through history? It seems like everyone's slowed down a little bit on the chat side of things, so that might be my cue. That might be my cue. It is Friday after all. Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Everybody's working towards the weekend. Partying. Yeah, partying. Yeah, fun. Looking forward to the weekend. Yesterday was Tuesday. Wait, Thursday. Today it is Friday. We are so excited. We so excited. Rudy was 45. Thank you, Roland, for cleaning that up for me. That's going to wrap up today's show. I got nothing. Javi Good Times asks, where are we going for dinner? Well, Steak Girl can answer. I honestly don't know. I'm game for whatever, babe. I'm game for whatever. You know? We'll do what we got to do. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I'm sorry. This show was a raw dogging, if you will. We might do occasional raw dogging shows. They'll be all over the place. And I hope you appreciate that side of me from time to time. But next Friday, we will take a look at the schedule of NFL games, college football games. We'll give you some picks. It's been a weird week. I do really appreciate everyone who has stopped by in support. I know there's a lot of people who have offered words of support that I have to probably get through at some point over the weekend. But it really means a lot. I am in a weird spot. I'm not going to lie. The first 2 days, it was a little easier. Today was, and yes, last night was a little more tough. But really, I love you guys. I'm going to have a great weekend. I hope you have a great weekend. We will be back at it before the Texans game against the Bucs Monday at noon. I will not be going to that game. Found out about that yesterday. That was a bummer. Hopefully, we will be able to cover some Texans games this season. I have to have a conversation with the Texans about that. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please press the like button on this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Or do the same if you're more of a Twitch person. Give me a sub. Every little bit helps. If you want this thing to keep on happening, I do need at least to see sub returns on this as far as following and view counts and all of that. If you are more of an X person, you will see my occasional thoughts written on X at Gallant Says. Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. I barely post to Facebook, trying to change that, but for now, not really a whole lot. Also, you can get after me on Instagram at Sports Gallant. We post some clips from that show to both Instagram and my TikTok, which is at Gallant Says. I don't think I'm going to post the podcast version of this show because it was all over the place, but it's available on Apple and it's also available on Spotify. If you haven't already, subscribe, 5-star rating, nice little review on either of those apps. Every single little bit helps. You guys rule. And I'm going to eat something because I'm hungry. That's what I'm going to do. Until Monday at noon. So long, farewell, and have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Peace!